Definitely, we need good roads going forward. And right here, we're still talking about the theme. Still, basically, is Nigeria 63, and we're looking at different critical industries. But despite the lucrative extraction of solid minerals during the colonial era, Nigeria struggled to effectively utilize these valuable resources for its own benefit since gaining independence. Time now to chart a way forward. Joining us for this conversation is Engineer Janet Adeyemi, National President, Women in Mining in Nigeria, joining us from our Abuja studio. Great to have you on the show. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So let's get into it now. So, previous reports by the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, that's NATI, has revealed that with more than 50 minerals are now available in commercial quantities across the country. So the solid mineral sector still contributes less than 1% to the national GDP. Engineer Janet, please help us break down what we're actually missing here.
Thank you so much, Ladi. And I appreciate my being invited because you find out that the solid mineral sector is a sector where people just come up with all manner of volatile statistics because the data is not there. The mechanism for collecting actual real-time data is equally not there. So estimated figures are what people use, and at times is exaggerated or underrepresented. As we speak in Nigeria, yes, every local government have one solid minerals or the other. We are blessed, we are endowed. But having solid minerals does not translate to economic utilization of benefits, because you have to actually do real studies for you to know if it's in commercial quantity, because if not, or for economic value. When I say economic value, how important are they at the international market, and what you reject today can become a center play in future. Look at the lithium that suddenly took the center stage all over the world globally. Before, nobody looks at lithium. Lithium is just pulled aside while you explore for other exploit other minerals. But today, people are coming back to it, and it's extremely expensive. So what I'm saying in essence is that as we speak today, based on the 2021 NIT reports, having critically examined about 1,214 companies, it is estimated that Nigeria solid minerals contributed about 2.6% to the GDP of Nigeria. And so that is a very significant thing, looking at to the total revenue earned in Nigeria, which translates to about 0.6%, which is a very good development when you compare to where you are coming from. But is it good enough when you compare it and say Nigeria is a mining destination? I don't think so. So we still have a lot to do in this space, to make Nigeria become a mining country. And just like you said, because I listened to your first session of the report where the professor was talking about various issues are responsible, you understand, for our not being competitive, even though the ministry is trying to come up with various reforms, which they have done over the years, but we are still not where we should be. And so much is still expected for us in the sector.
You did mention lithium, and that's one mineral I'm very much interested in with the trend now of electric vehicles. Everyone's pushing for net zero. Can you give us a strategy that would help us actually benefit the full potential of lithium and the demand right now in the global market?
It's unfortunate because as we speak, we still don't have a policy document, you understand, to manage our lithium. Before now, there are various reforms, like I said, that has taken place in the ministry. When the ministry came up with what they defined as the 7 strategic minerals for the solid minerals sector. Unfortunately, there was nothing like lithium then. But you find out that some other countries in the West, look at countries like Canada, quickly came up with lithium strategy. Chile came up with lithium strategy the moment lithium became a center thing. And I'm sure that this current minister is part of the agenda they will set up. But notwithstanding, you find out that people capitalize on the gaps, the lacuna in the system. And if you go to places like Nasarawa, you go to places like Kogi, you'll be miserable, you'll be sad with the level of devastation and degradation, you understand, where people just exploit recklessly. The outgone regime of President Ibrahim Buhari-led administration tried, you understand, because I knew that I think what was this giant company, you understand? This giant company into Tesla, what's his name now? Tried
Elon Musk.
Engage Nigeria, and then the minister, I think, put down his feet that except the lithium is processed. So we have a lithium processing plant coming up in Kaduna, which we pray, you understand, we pass the entire test and go through what it should. But as we speak, lithium does not have a policy document. But the sector is working assiduously to make sure we have that policy, that we place us side by side, you understand, with other countries. Ghana here have a lithium processing plant coming up, which will be open to the public by 2026. So we look up to policies, robust policies, you understand, that we make our lithium worthwhile for exploration, and not exploration alone, being processed and used in the continent. Even the African Development Bank at the continental level has come up with various kind of policies, you understand, where there should be a kind of synergy between countries, because you find out that if you want to develop the electric vehicles or utilization or EV batteries and things like that, there's the need for synergies between countries. We have some countries that are producers, and then some countries have the infrastructure to be able to support processing and assembly, then coming up with value addition. Because without that, if you just pack your lithium, like, I don't want to mention country names, you understand, for whatever it stands for and the implications, but you find out that some countries are just here plundering and taking away our lithium reserves, you understand, plundering our reserves and taking everything away, which is dangerous because they have their own well kept. And by the time lithium, our electric vehicles take complete center stage, based on the elimination, you understand, of fossil fuel, you find out that we have virtually depleted our finite resources, because all these mineral resources are finite. Once you take them off, they are off. So we need to quickly come up with robust policies, you understand, that we make sure we are able to control our resources in Nigeria.
Right, and still looking at, lithium at this point, definitely we have, local investors here that I'm sure are interested in getting into, this lithium value chain. What would you say, is the best strategy now for, a local investor looking to get into this business? What should they be doing right now, pending, when we have a policy on lithium?
I don't think it's even in lithium alone. The local investors in Nigeria are actually going through hard times. When I say hard times, capital is a major thing. And you find out that when you don't have access to capital, there's little you can do in the sector. Forget about the various kind of funds you talk about. The banks in Nigeria are used to quick win projects, you understand, projects that is low-hanging fruits. So it's either I want to call them that they are lazy, you understand, they don't have mining desks, they don't understand the procedure, they don't understand what they should do to get involved in the sector. So this has placed a major financial burden on indigenous miners in the country. What indigenous miners should do, as far as I'm concerned, is that, you see, the era of one-man business has gone. There's a need for people to come together, you understand, and form proper structures where they can work efficiently and look for opportunities, come up with very comprehensive feasibility reports, you understand, which will probably give them opportunity for access to capital. And I know that AFC, African Finance Corporation, you understand, has partnered with Solid Minerals Development Fund. Maybe the fund now will be properly positioned to equally be able to help to be able to help the indigenous miners in the country. But as we speak, I tell you, it's a lot of challenge. And that is why you find out that most people simply get their licenses, you understand, and then they throw it up, you understand, to third parties who now exploit and then give them peanuts. Because that peanuts to them is okay, because since they don't have access to it and they still have to pay for having their licenses, they have to pay royalties and things like that. So their best way of keeping their sites going is to throw it up to third parties who are interested in them. And again, then the space is gradually opening up, because in our office now, for instance, we get requests from other countries, other investors who wants to come in. So to come in, there's a need for indigenous companies who equally have licenses, understand, in these areas, to make sure that their documentations are right, to do due diligence and make sure that they make it attractive, because no foreign company wants to come into a business that's that the entire document is not clear. So this is the time to do your paperwork and make sure all your documents are in order to be able to attract external investors.
All right, Engineer, before I let you go now, very quickly, we know the government have sounded a warning to foreign businesses to desist from, banditry and unlawful mining. Do you think this threat would, help in reducing illegal mining, and what can be done to actually make this threat, actually let these businesses actually take this threat, seriously, so that we can squash illegal mining in the country?
There's no illegal miner or anything without the big wigs. Because I want you to look at the experiences in Zamfara Gold, for instance. Let me deviate a little and talk about Zamfara Gold. Which poor man has the money to bring in helicopters to lift gold in the forest? It's only people who are rich. But one thing, the difference is that the leaders of any country matters. People read the body language of their leaders. If a president comes to office and he means business, and people see that there are no sacred cows, I tell you, things will fall in order. I want to give you a typical example. During lockdown, we all watched some Chinese people who, while we were being locked down and there was ban on our mining activities, they were busy mining gold. What happened to them till today? These are things that should be publicly mentioned to the public to know the consequences of the aftermath of what happens. And when they are not dealt with, or when you still treat them with levity, there will always be continuous occurrence. So government must come up with serious sanctions. And I think the new minister has made that in his body language, in his speech. It's very clear that there won't be room, you understand, for previous kinds of activities and operations that have taken place in the sector. So I believe that until we learn to do this and then make sure we have strong whistleblowing mechanism where the community leaders, because some community leaders too are culprits. They get money and they are ready to sell anything at the consequence, not minding the consequences to their community. Until we have systems where these things are reported and then sanctions, serious sanctions are levied to such people, we will continue to have it. But where we address it and they get punished for whatever illegal acts or indiscipline, you understand, that arises from such things. If you go by the roadside there, you see trailers of lithium moving out of Nasarawa. Who is responsible for it? Who do they report to?
Right.
So it depends on the body language of any system. When Nigerians leave this country, they go to America, they go to Europe, they go anywhere. We obey. But here, even you find the most civilized person breaking the traffic rule, you understand? Just because there are no sanctions. Nobody sanctions anybody when you do anything. Or you have sacred cows. The sacred cow mechanism, you understand, must go away. Then the other thing is that the issue of license, we must come up with this policy, use it or you lose it. You understand? If you have a license on anything, not necessarily even the mining sector, use it or you lose it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Engineer Janet Adeyemi, National President, Women in Mining in Nigeria. So much to unpack there. Thank you so much for helping us make sense of all of this. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, after a quick break now, we'll look at West Africa capital markets as the Securities and Exchange Commission prepares for the biennial West Africa Capital Market Conference in 2023. That's our next conversation. Just stay with us.